What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Salty Golfer Show. I've got a dear friend on with me today, Jim Huntoon. Jim, I want you to introduce yourself and just tell us what you're doing right now, and then we'll get into what you used to do. All right?
My name's Jim Huntoon. I am Associate Professor of Golf and Sports Turf Management at Horry Georgetown Technical College.
Perfect. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Moline, Illinois,
Okay.
which is the home of John Deere.
Nice.
And it's right on the Mississippi River, home of the John Deere Classic as well on the PGA Tour.
Yeah?
So I grew up there. Originally went to college at Iowa State University, so I spent about 6.5 years in Iowa.
Okay.
But I have Midwest roots, Salty, but I moved here to the Myrtle Beach area in 1999 to go to school at Horry Georgetown, where I now teach, to get into golf course management, turf grass management,
Sure.
and being a golf course superintendent.
Yeah. So, like you said, you were a superintendent before. How many years did you do that before you went back to teaching, or you went to teaching school?
23, 24 years I was in the industry.
Nice. What attracted you to that industry? Was that at Iowa State? Were you there to do that, or were you doing something else at Iowa State?
I was not. Originally I was in landscape architecture. I had delusions of grandeur about being a golf course architect.
Okay.
Right? But found out pretty quickly that landscape architecture is a pretty academically intensive major.
Sure.
And started off in that and figured out pretty quickly that I wasn't going to make it, Wes.
Yeah.
So I switched majors at the time to community and regional planning, which does have a little bit of correlation with what I do now. But, that was a very short period in my life where I wasn't really into golf.
Yeah.
Very short period, but I started getting back into it in my later years in college and figured out pretty quickly. I took a job working on a golf course on the grounds crew.
Sure.
In Ames, Iowa, at Ames Golf and Country Club, and loved it.
Yeah.
And pretty much from there, I was like, I want to do this. It was
Okay.
a real epiphany for me. And
Was golf always in the? I mean, did you grow up playing golf?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I started playing about 13 years old, and my grandfather kind of got me started. I played a lot with my father, and
Yeah.
played high school golf. The
Sure.
typical junior golf, and
Yeah.
Dropped off at the golf course in the morning and picked up in the evening.
Sure.
The same path as a lot of people, but loved golf growing up and still do to this day.
Was there something growing up playing golf that you thought that attracted you to the maintenance side or the superintendent side of golf as you were a youngster playing golf? Was there did you just like how the golf courses looked and that man, I want to do that one day maybe?
Not really. My first love was golf course architecture, golf
Yeah.
course history, and professional golf, and really didn't think much about turf grass management or maintenance at all
Sure.
at that young age. Really didn't kind of understand that or discover that was something interesting to me until I was in college at Iowa State and needed a job and
Sure.
wanted to start playing more golf, and had some friends that were in the curriculum there at Iowa State. That's a big turf school in its own right.
Okay.
And they helped me get a job at Ames Golf and Country Club, and it just took off like a rocket from there, my man.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a favorite architect?
I have a lot.
Do you?
I love Tom Doak. He's
Okay.
been a huge influence on me.
What is it about Tom?
I've just read a lot of his books.
Okay.
I love reading, and I love collecting books about golf.
You do have quite the collection.
Yep.
I've seen it on Instagram.
And just some of his early books and reading his thoughts on golf influenced me a lot. So
Yeah.
I'd put him up there. I like little bits and pieces from a lot of your notable and famous architects.
Sure.
To say I have a favorite, I really don't.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite Doak course that you've played?
Probably Heathland, because that's probably the only one I think I've played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep,
That's right here, man.
It is.
That's a tough golf course.
it is.
All three of those over there.
They
The
are.
legends.
They are tough.
Pretty tough track. So, how do you feel? You probably knew this question was coming. How do you feel about Mike Strantz as an architect? Because I love him. Just based on Caledonia, I love that golf course very much.
I mean, I'm influenced a lot by Mike Strantz. When
Yeah.
I moved down here, I actually came down here for spring break before I moved down here and played Caledonia True Blue, played a bunch of courses in the Pawleys, Litchfield area, and
Yeah.
was blown away by Caledonia. And I said right then, I'm going to work at this place.
Right.
And when I moved down here, I was fortunate to get my foot in the door at Caledonia and True Blue, and Kevin Tompkins, who's still the superintendent at True Blue today, was kind of helped me get a job at Caledonia and wanted to be there. I love Mike Strantz.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to spend time with Mike.
Wow.
And
The Maverick.
the Maverick wasn't really here at Caledonia and True Blue, although I did see him
Yeah.
when I worked there from time to time. He would still come around. That was in a little bit different period back then that we can go into another time. But really spent a lot of time around Mike at Bulls Bay.
Okay.
Because a friend of mine that I graduated with at Horry Georgetown ended up taking a job at Bulls Bay,
Okay.
and they were building it.
Right.
So
So
I-
how did it go? Did it go Caledonia, True Blue, Bulls Bay?
I mean, if you want the entire,
Yeah, give it to me.
the whole rundown. So Caledonia.
Yeah.
Next would have been New Kent and Stonehouse,
Okay.
True Blue, Tobacco Road, Todd Hill Farm, Bulls Bay, Monterey Peninsula,
So Monterey Peninsula was his last one.
which was really a renovation, a redo.
Right.
But
But the other ones were built from the ground up.
from the ground up, Caledonia started in 92, 93, and I think Mike finished Bulls Bay 2002, Wes, I think.
Okay.
And that was when he started to fall ill, right? So when his production kind of dropped off a little bit.
What was his? Do you know anything about like how he got his start? Who did he like worship or like? Who did he like?
So interestingly enough, Mike Strantz originally was in turfgrass management
Okay.
at Michigan State, and he ended up working at Inverness in Toledo, Ohio. And he worked there for the U.S. Open. I'm trying to think. I want to say 1974. It was in the 70s.
Okay.
It was whatever year that Lon Hinkle tried to take a route down a different fairway, and the USGA literally planted 3 trees in the middle of the night between the rounds to
What a
block
great
it, the
story.
Hinkle trees.
Yeah.
But anyway, he worked there, and that's when he got to know Tom Fazio, because Tom Fazio was redoing Inverness, and Tom took a liking to Mike, and Mike kind of started his path right there working for Tom.
Yeah.
And Mike worked for Tom and built courses and was a project manager for Tom. And Wachasaw Plantation is one that he worked on. Wade Hampton, Country Club of Oklahoma. Some of what I'll call the iconic Fazio courses from the 80s, Strantz was a part of. And that's kind of how he got his start. And then he left the business for a while because, being on the road is tough when you have a family.
Sure.
As you know, Wes,
Yeah,
right? Kids take
yeah.
time. And I think Mike stepped away for a while
Yeah.
to spend more time with his family, but eventually was kind of drugged back into the industry because he
Yeah.
was so talented.
Yeah.
It really happened at Parkland. It's what drug him back in. So,
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. It's funny. I haven't played all of his golf courses, but like just take Tobacco Road for example. The first time I played there, and you're on some of those tee boxes, and you're like, where the hell do I land this golf ball? And then you get up there, and there's plenty of room to land the golf ball.
There is.
I love how he disguises his golf courses. It's really cool, and it's funny. I haven't, like I said, I don't even think I've played half of them. But Caledonia feels less aggressive as all the other ones to me. Would you agree with that?
It is. It was his first one. I think he was kind of. A lot of it had to do with what the land he had to
Sure,
work with, right?
absolutely.
At Caledonia, the amazing thing about that place is the way he routed it. He saved a lot of the specimen trees that
Yeah.
are still there. I think he was somewhat contained there, the
Yeah.
way that property is, and didn't need to do some of the stuff that he did later in his career because he had such a natural such natural beauty already there,
Sure.
Salty, right? And you
Was
know,
there a lot of land moved at Caledonia?
yes,
There was a lot of
not.
land.
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
It's a, you know, Caledonia's a core golf course, right?
Right.
There's no houses on the edges, right? But when you play there, it's golf holes all around you.
Sure.
It's not like a residential course like a
Sure.
lot of our courses here. So, you know, it was, you know, the first hole, you know, that was not part of the original track.
Oh, really?
No. The original, I have some old blueprints of Caledonia. Originally, before they bought that piece of land from the Heritage Plantation Development, Caledonia was going to be a par 69 golf course
Really?
because they didn't have that land to build number one.
Yeah.
They bought it later to build that hole to kind of make the routing work a little bit better
Sure.
and have it be a par 70 like it is today. But
So did it start at a 69 or?
it never, that was the original plan. There were
Gotcha.
several routings.
Yeah.
I've been able to unearth a lot of Mike Strantz stuff,
Yeah.
drawings and stuff.
That's sick, dude.
Because, you know, he was, with my time at Heritage,
Yeah.
you know, when he was designing and building Caledonia, he worked out of the Heritage Clubhouse.
Okay.
Right? And again, the owners of Caledonia worked with the Youngs, who owned Heritage at the
Okay.
time, and they ended up selling them that piece of land
Right.
and to build the first hole. So there's just a lot of connections there.
Sure.
This is really going in depth on the history of Myrtle Beach golf.
But that's what this podcast is about.
It is.
That's what we want to do. We have a lot of people that pay attention to the salty golfer, and they're kind of golf nerds like you and I are, and they like the in depth. And when I want to learn as much about Myrtle Beach golf as I can, and you've taught me quite a bit. Like, you were one of the first ones to kind of reach out when I started the salty golfer thing. I was like, hey, dig what you're doing. Like, let me whatever I can do to help. So we'll forever be indebted to you for that, for sure. But you even taught me that at the Heritage Club, where you were that's where I met you when you were the head super there, that Strantz even came and redid some of those greens, right, at Heritage Club.
Yeah, and that's all connected to what we're talking about.
Sure.
Right. So they decided to do that swap and get that piece of land to build the first hole. Well,
Right.
they had to go. The way I understand it, and I could be wrong on this, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. They had to get some permitting and stuff in line to build on that piece of land because it wasn't part of the original track.
Sure.
So during that period, they took the whole crew while they were waiting to finish Caledonia over to Heritage and
Right.
redid the greens.
Yeah.
And again, this is how the Youngs and the group that owns Caledonia and True Blue is connected. Is the Youngs brought Strantz in to finish Parkland, right?
Okay.
After Tom Doak, Gil Hands, and Mike DeVries left,
Yeah.
right? And they brought Mike in to finish it. And that's kind of how that was during the period, too, I think, when they were waiting to get started at Caledonia.
Sure.
And then when they were waiting to build the first hole, they did. They came over to Heritage and redid some of the greens completely
Yeah.
and left some of them the same, but they did a bunch of construction work over there. So
Yeah. What's the hole at Heritage Club? It's got the really cool green. It's got the water that comes up to the back of it. It's very undulated.
we got 13
Yeah, the
and
short
12.
par four.
12.
Yeah,
that
that-
Strantz has his fingers all over
Yeah,
that
you
thing.
can once
Yeah.
you told me, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
Strantz for sure.
13, 18. I think he altered 4. There's quite a few.
Sure.
So, I mean, golf courses are living, breathing things, and
Yeah.
they change a lot.
Sure. Well, we've seen that just recently in some of the golf courses that the greens used to be a certain size, and erosion and all that, they get
Right.
smaller. Greens, bunkers get bigger or whatever, and then people got to come back in and redo them to the original size and stuff like
They
that.
change. They
Yeah,
change a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I played Prestwick on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's another golf course that over the years has changed some. It's similar, but
Sure.
just the golf market has changed so much.
Yeah.
And golf has changed a lot in 25 years, and it's changed a lot here in Myrtle Beach too.
Yeah, for sure. So, your first job in Myrtle Beach was where?
Caledonia.
Caledonia. And you started what did you do there when you first
I was a
started?
student.
Yeah.
I worked as just a regular greenkeeper, student, intern, whatever you want to call it. learn the basics. That was a very formative time for me. I learned a ton of stuff that I still use today.
Sure.
Was fortunate there to be able to work with a very large Hispanic crew
Okay.
that, didn't teach me a lot of X's and O's about fertilizer and pHs and diseases, but
Right.
taught me a lot about how to run equipment, how to be a greenkeeper, how to be efficient, how
Yeah.
to present a golf course, be detail oriented.
Right.
And I'm forever indebted to them. And I've just learned so much over the years from all the people I've worked with.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you just have to pay attention to what's going on around
Sure.
you. That's something I stress with the students. And I've had great mentors, but some mentors are not what you think. They're right in front of your face. You don't think of them as mentors, but
Right.
just by watching them.
Yeah.
So
So a lot of that stuff in your formative years, do you find yourself teaching that to your students now?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
But
So-
how does that feel, like full circle? Like, man, I remember when I was 22, 23 or whatever, and now I'm teaching these kids. Like, there's got to be a goosebump feeling to that a little bit.
There is. I'm very honored to do this. And
Yeah.
it's, the first week of class is just, it's, my colleague, Professor Granger, told me before my first day, he's like, you're gonna notice these first couple days, it's a real high.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a real natural high, and it's just the energy, and it is, it's a lot of fun.
Sure.
Salty. It's an honor.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, and to have some kind of influence over the next generation is not something I take lightly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's fast forward just a little bit. You're at Caledonia. How long were you there?
I worked there for 11 years.
Okay.
So I left Caledonia in the summer of 2000.
And you were what then?
I was a student.
Okay, still.
But I left Caledonia to go do an internship for the summer up in Pinehurst at Pinehurst number 8. So it was summer of 2000, year after the 99 U.S. Open
Yeah.
with Payne Stewart, and super excited about that. I had a couple other fellow students and friends that were going up there, and was stoked to go up there, and really was going up there with the impression I was going to be working 60 or 70 hours a week, Wes. And we get up there, and because they spent so much money on that 99 Open, they said, well, we got bad news, guys. You can only work 40 hours a week.
Right.
And so I got cut loose almost every day at 3 o'clock.
Right.
I played a lot of golf that summer.
I bet so.
And played a lot
Some
of
pretty good
Pinehurst.
golf courses too.
I played everywhere in Pinehurst. And
There's not much else to do there.
no, there's not. But if you love golf,
Yeah.
you're going to love Pinehurst.
If
And
you don't mind sweating in the summer,
exactly.
you'll be
And
fine.
I mean, I was 25 years old at the time, so
Yeah.
it was time to rock and roll, and got to play a bunch of golf and learned a lot there too.
Sure.
But then I came back to Caledonia and worked there my second year in school, and as soon as I graduated, they offered me a job as second assistant superintendent, and worked there for the next 10 years, working my way up through
Sure.
the ranks, and was great.
So at Caledonia, did you? I'm sure there's some of this, but True Blue being the sister course, or
Yeah.
however you want, brother course, whatever you call it, is there time spent on both courses?
There was.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would do some things over there at True Blue, and it is one company together. I mean, I was based at Caledonia. I worked at Caledonia, but I did work at True Blue some too, and was involved enough over there to know what was going on. And they needed an assistant superintendent over there at some point, and I brought a very, very dear friend of mine in, kind of facilitated him being assistant superintendent over there. So I lived over there for a while too on the 17th
Nice.
hole in a condo, and like I said, I got my buddy a job over there, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Some good times, I bet.
Absolutely.
All right. So when do we get called up to the Heritage Club?
2010.
Okay.
I basically didn't. It was time to move on.
Sure.
You know, it had been time for a while, and I've been interviewing for different jobs for a while, but loved being in Pawleys Island. I had a very young family at that time, and didn't want to leave. And the opportunity at Heritage came forth. You know, it had kind of gone through some rough times with the previous ownership, had lost it, and The bank had taken it over, and Century Golf took it, was running it for the bank. And
Sure.
they basically came and got me, Wes. Is
Yeah.
basically what happened.
Yeah.
So the moral of that story is if you grind and you do well, people will notice, and,
Sure.
and it'll work out. And it did. And, it was a leap of faith a little bit. But once I got my feet wet there, and after the first 90 days, I've really felt like I hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's the first. That was the first 2 years we had the plunder
Yep.
at the Heritage Club. I love that golf course. A lot of it is because I met you, and
Yep.
and we spent a lot of time out there together, and what you did for me in the plunder in the first couple of years was amazing. And I love not just. I love that Caledonia and True Blue and Heritage are kind of all there together, and the history. And I'm not just talking golf history, American history that happened on those three golf courses. Pretty. I mean, built on a rice plantation.
Correct.
Yeah, and you showed me some of it. Like, I would have never known there was a hidden tee box on
Number 9.
number 9,
Yep.
which I wish they'd bring that back, because that would be freaking awesome. If
And we did have it back for a while.
Did you?
You had to hit off a mat or hit off a dirt.
Yeah,
as
but
long as
it's so cool back
As long
in
as you
there.
can put it on a peg, Wes, does it really matter?
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not at all. And there's a lot of historical markers on that golf course, and just a really, really. I love the way that golf course. In Myrtle Beach, I think if you have a golf course that it gets hazy, which hole is 18 and which hole is 9 because they double tee, I think you have a very good golf course, in my opinion, in Myrtle Beach. And Heritage does that for me. Prestwick does that for me. And that's just the two that really come to my mind as far as, like, I can play them either way and be happy.
Yes.
Like Caledonia, to me, that's a build-up golf course. I get kind of ticked off if I start at 10. I would rather start at 1. And another one for me like that is Pawleys Plantation. I can't stand starting on the back there, because the back 9 to me is really good. And it just, Pawleys Plantation has that build-up to me.
Yes.
But Heritage and Prestwick are the two, like, I don't care what side I go off on. All the holes are good to me, so it really doesn't matter.
Good balance.
Good balance,
Yep.
yeah. That's the way to say it.
True
yeah.
Blues like that too, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Good balance there. But yeah, I agree with you. Caledonia, I mean, finishing on 9, a lot of people over the years have complained about that. And I get that to a point, but
Sure.
there's also a lot of people that hate on number 9 just because it's a short par 3.
I don't mind that it's a short par 3.
I don't either.
I think it's a very ingenious hole to me. Like, you're coming down, like, you're in a match or whatever, and you're finishing on a 100-yard hole.
Yeah.
You got to hit the shot, man.
I mean, they all count, and depending on where the hole location is on that par 3 makes a huge difference. If it's on the right, it's a half a shot to 3/4 of a shot more difficult. If it's on the left, it's a pretty routine shot,
Sure.
But short par 3s
They're lost.
They are, and they're an important part. If you look at some of the most iconic par 3s in the world, they're short par 3s,
Yeah.
right? I love long par 3s too.
Sure.
But those are holes that they're equalizers, but they're also testers.
Yeah. I played in the World Am,
Yep.
and we had Willbrook one day,
Yep.
and 2 of them were over 200 yards, par 3s.
Right. This is in the low handicap division.
Yeah, the second division,
Yeah.
0.4 to 4.9 or
Right.
something like that. And we were they put the boxes as far back as you could go. And that golf course is a test.
Yes.
Back.
It is.
But yeah, there was like a 207 and a 217, and so. But I don't like long par 3s maybe as much as you do. They're tough. All right, so Heritage Club. Is there anything when you got there that there was, and you can get into this as much or as little as you want. I'm not trying to put anything in a bad light, but there was something that when you got there was like, all right, we got to fix this immediately. Like, was there an issue or that you wanted to, like, it was your priority to make this better?
There was a lot of things.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. Let me ask it this way. What are you most proud that you accomplished at Heritage Club when it comes to the course?
When it comes to the course, probably the consistency after I got it turned around and headed in the direction that I wanted to take it in.
Sure.
Took me about a year and a half to kind of right the ship, or at least
Yeah.
set the ship on the course that I wanted to be on. But then after that, I kind of feel like the consistency,
Yeah.
that was a big thing with me. And I think Heritage over the years had a reputation of kind of having yo-yo conditions a little bit. It could be really good certain times of the year, but then other times of the year, maybe not so much. And just that consistency. It's funny you asked me that, Wes, because I was talking to the students today about my time at Heritage, and there were a lot of things that had to be fixed right away, and a lot of it wasn't easy.
Sure.
I told the students a story today about the first person I ever had to fire. That's
It's tough, man.
It's tough, and not only that, the person that I had to let go's father worked for us too.
Yeah.
So I had to let somebody go, and then had to go tell his dad.
Yeah.
That's
Doubly tough.
yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff. But I'm proud of the team that we built over
Sure.
the years, and that was my favorite part. That's what I missed the most. And
Yeah.
the techniques and things that I used over the years at Heritage to build a good team are a lot of the same techniques that I use to build relationships with the students.
Yeah.
And I love that part about it.
That's great. Is Pete still there?
Pete is still there.
If you see him, will you tell him I said hey?
I will. I
need to go back. I need to run by and see him. I'm not that he would remember me, but
Yeah.
he was fun. We hung out there for a little bit towards
Pete's-
the end of your time there. But
Yeah, Pete's a great guy. He kind of came to me and hired him, and obviously loves golf. He's
great accent.
He's from England. He's
Yeah.
got that Cockney English accent, and holds a patent on his putter that you're
Yeah.
aware of. I still use that putter today, and love Pete. Love to play golf with Pete. He loved golf, and he helped me with my game some.
He got me to switch to fat grips.
Yeah, me too. And he tried to do that to me, but Pete was also a challenging employee.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But sometimes the challenging ones are the best ones too.
Maybe the ones that care the most too, right?
He did
Can't-
care.
yeah.
You got to have pride, man.
Sure,
You got to have
for
pride,
sure.
and craftsmanship's very important in what we do. And that's another thing that I stress with the students. We were talking about attention to detail,
Yeah.
right? Attention to detail on golf courses doesn't have anything to do with the budget, right? I've played golf courses that have very low budgets and 4 or 5 staff, and you can tell every single staff member has attention to detail,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You may not have the labor to do a lot of things, but the things that you do them well.
Sure.
You take pride in it, and you have good craftsmanship. I've also seen other courses that have huge budgets that maybe don't have that same level of pride or craftsmanship.
Right.
So
They maybe take advantage of their budget.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm really big on attention to detail and craftsmanship.
When I was in, before I started doing the Salty Golfer full time, and I was in, I guess what would you say, a real world job, I used to tell the guys that I was over, is like, you never know who's watching you. If you can always remember that, you'll take care of business, because you never know who's watching you, especially on a golf course. On a golf course with houses, you never know who's looking out their window, and you just that always. My mom told me that a long time ago. Son, you never know who's watching.
Optics are everything, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And another, thing that is very important, I think, is never underestimate the importance of being around. And when you
Sure.
mention homeowners and members, and during my golf course superintendent career, I was fortunate I lived very close.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I live right by Caledonia, so it's very close. But I would work 6 days a week.
Sure.
That was what I did that because I didn't do that because I had to. I did that because I liked to, and that gave me the best quality of life.
Sure.
But a lot of the members and homeowners at Heritage would see me out there. I worked on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I might only work 2-3 hours on Sunday,
Right.
right? but consistently seeing me there,
Yeah.
that made a huge impression.
Absolutely.
And just being around,
Yeah.
interacting with people. And you know what served me so well at Heritage too is just being a good leader, and when the people you work with in conversation compliment you to members and homeowners, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
It does, in building credibility.
Absolutely.
So
The other thing I was going to say, you said consistency was one of the things you're really proud of
Yep.
at Heritage Club. And for people that don't know or haven't played Heritage Club yet, or they're coming down to play here, you guys are a factory there. Like, you put groups out, and
Yes.
it's not like, and to be that consistent with that many groups going out every day, what's the number that usually go? I mean, you might not know it right now, but
I mean, it varies between 55 and 60,000 rounds per year, but you know where I learned about how to deal with that? At Caledonia.
Yeah.
We were doing the same numbers there.
Sure. Yeah.
And they are, they probably still are to this day.
Yeah.
So that was normal to me.
Right.
That's why I was set up for success too. You have to understand that I moved a half a mile down the road,
Right.
A very similar golf course, similar land, similar soil, similar grasses, similar construction, similar type situations, and that made my transition easier.
all right, let me ask you this. When you're teaching these kids, I say kids,
They're not all kids.
They're
Some
not
of them
all-
are older than us, Wes.
Correct, right.
But mostly they are.
Can you tell pretty quickly if they're going to be good at this?
Defined pretty quickly.
A semester,
Yes. Yeah.
2 weeks?
No, it takes longer than that.
Yeah.
It's we really stress a lot on soft skills too.
Okay.
Being
Well, what does that mean? What soft skills mean?
all the things that don't involve books and technical knowledge.
Right.
Being a good communicator.
Sure.
Right. Punctuality.
Right.
Being professional.
Sure. And I'm sure communicator is important because there could be a language barrier on some of these.
There can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so those type of things, dressing for success.
Sure.
Your presentation, being around.
Yeah.
Those type of things. So yes, I can. And
Yeah.
it's we have a group right now that's in their second year. The first year I've only had for a couple weeks, so
Right.
it's very early.
Sure.
I don't know. But the second year group we have right now is very strong.
Good.
Very strong, and got to spend a lot of time with them this summer, traveling around for their
Seeing that on your Instagram.
for the internships, and I'm really excited about their future.
Sweet.
And some of the ones that have graduated already too.
Yeah.
And I look at myself, Wes, as a late bloomer,
Sure.
right? And it also gives me perspective that when I was at Iowa State, I was not a good student.
Yeah.
I graduated.
Right.
I made it, but it wasn't pretty, man.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff that the students pull on me now, I pulled on my professors.
Sure.
And so I have that perspective too, but
Yeah.
it is a intriguing part of it, trying to help them on their journey. And I look at each student a little different, but
You're getting some students, like you said, that could be older than us, and this is like they're going into their second profession
or third.
or third.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
trying
I mean,
to make,
we have, I'll break it down into three groups, right?
Okay.
We have what I'll call your, fresh out of high school, 18 to 22 years old,
Sure.
right? Group two is going to be mid-20s to mid-30s,
they've already been to college and then they decided to take a
or
left.
they've been in the military, or they've
Gotcha.
done something else and they're coming back.
Yep.
And then we have like the 35 and older too.
Right.
So each one's a little bit different, but it's fun when you got everybody together, and there's a real sense of community and group.
Yeah.
And we have a student that's 60 years old, Chuck Duvall.
That's awesome.
And he
Great
is,
name, Chuck Duvall. Yeah.
Chuck Duvall, TPC.
Yeah.
Chuck's a legend. He is.
That's awesome. He sounds like a legendary poker player with a name like that.
He
Chuck
could
Duvall.
be. He could be. Chuck Duvall is. He provides a lot of laughs.
That's
for
awesome.
sure. And
Is there a lot of is it 50-50 in the classroom, out on the ground somewhere, or are you at golf courses weekly? Are you doing stuff there at Horry Tech?
Yeah, I mean, we have our own turf care center. We call it. It's basically a par 3 hole. It's got a green, a bunker, a tee. We have turf plots out there. We
Yeah.
have. It's about an acre. It's like a par 3, and we do a lot of our labs and everything out there. But
Sure.
the hallmark of our program is the combination of in classroom teaching, and then on the job training, applied learning.
Sure.
At the golf courses of Myrtle Beach.
Right.
Horry Georgetown golf course management program is where it is today because of the mentors at the golf courses. It's the working component that sets it apart.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of great institutions you can go to get a turf grass degree, but Horry Georgetown, we've been there since 1970 something.
Yeah.
And it's been a while, and the majority of the superintendents in this area are graduates of the program, and we've just got some fantastic mentors.
So they get it. They understand how important what these young kids or whatever coming up.
I'm going to say the learning on the course is more important than what we do in the classroom.
Sure.
It's what sets us apart. It's what always has.
Do you think that's because, and might be a rhetorical question, but is that because we have so much golf in our backyard to like go and see and touch and feel?
It's very advantageous to what we do, and it's kind of why the program was created, right?
Yeah.
Because we had this here, and obviously golf is a big part of the Myrtle Beach tourism economy.
Sure.
And but it's not just Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
It's regionally in the Carolinas. There's tons of Horry Georgetown graduates working at courses in the Carolinas, internationally and nationally. It's,
Right.
You know, 1917, that's 54 years ago.
Yeah.
We have a ton of graduates. And
It's a 2-year degree?
2-year associate's degree, correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. So,
Are most kids or most students, and they're coming to that, is the end game to become a head super? Is that why they're there? Is that like the goal?
for most, I mean, we have a sports turf
Okay.
emphasis as well, where you could be a sports field turf manager, you know,
Yeah.
work at a stadium, work for Parks and Rec, you know,
Right.
something like the North Myrtle Beach complex.
Or be a turf guy for like an NFL football team or
Exactly.
something?
Exactly. And one of our graduates works at the University of Alabama as assistant sports field manager. That's a good gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Pays you plenty too, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you get to meet with Nick Saban every once in a
Yeah.
while, that ain't bad.
That's not
Salty.
bad. That's not
but
bad.
or we have
Talk
you
about
know,
a mentor.
Exactly. You want about a man that knows something about soft skills.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
preaches it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
and a lot of what we do is like coaching. I feel like I'm a coach sometimes.
Sure.
And but we also have like landscape emphasis. We have students that have come through that are in sod production. That's an
Okay.
important thing here in Myrtle Beach, especially the way we're building housing developments and that kind of stuff.
A lot of
right?
them, yeah.
So we try to provide opportunities in every facet of the turfgrass industry.
Right.
But golf is our bread and butter.
Sure.
It always has been.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, let's take a little turn here.
I love a turn.
Yeah,
Let's
get
make the turn.
Let's make the turn. There you
Okay.
go. Let's get into Myrtle Beach golf.
Okay.
All right. In your opinion, and you can answer this either way you want to, what makes Myrtle Beach a premier golf destination? Do you believe it's a premier golf destination?
I do.
Okay.
I think it's variety.
Yeah.
I think it's variety. I think we provide a wide range of options.
Sure.
Right. If you want to come here on and you're worried about not overspending, we've got great options. Right.
Sure.
If you want to do a killer package here, you can do that too. We
Yeah.
have a lot of variety. We have just a little bit of something for everyone.
Sure.
And what I like about the Myrtle Beach golf destination is it provides a lot of people their first opportunity to take a golf trip.
I said this the other day on another podcast. I said, if you've never planned one and it scares you, there is no better place to start than Myrtle Beach.
No, there's not. And
As far as value,
yep,
cost, availability, different types of golf courses, pretty easy choice.
it is. And we've got great accommodations.
Yeah.
We've got great nightlife. We got great restaurants. I mean, we have all that.
Yeah.
And
Another cool thing about us is you can be the only one that plays golf, but the rest of your family that comes with you, if it's a family vacation, there is plenty for them to do too. Which is, you don't always get that at golf destinations.
and we're just at a weird place in golf right now, where we have a lot of new golf course construction right now.
Yeah.
But it's all in the very, very high-end boutique private,
Sure.
or it's really high-end resort.
There's no local munis being built right now.
There's some in that, but there's not just run-of-the-mill daily fee resort style courses being built right now. So I think the future of Myrtle Beach golf's exciting.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see more and more, as long as golf stays where it's at. And, things are going to go up and down, but I think the future's bright.
What excites you?
I think what excites me is a lot of the courses are getting to the age where they're having to be renovated and reimagined.
Sure.
Polly's Plantation comes to mind. Love what they did down there.
Those greens are so hard right now.
They are.
But I love that. Like
Yeah.
that I love having to lay off a club and it roll out like that. It gives you like this a little bit like, okay, that's what the big boys are playing, like with it being that fast and hard. Like I like that.
And that's part of a new construction. But I like what they did there, and it's exciting. There's a Caledonia True Blue connection at Polly's right now too.
Okay.
Baxter Boggs, the new superintendent that started maybe 8-9 months ago.
Okay.
He's son of Dixon Boggs, who's the horticulturist at Caledonia True Blue.
Oh, wow.
And Baxter has been assistant superintendent at Country Club of Charleston for many, many years. And now
Right.
he came up and he's taken over Polly's, and it's gonna.
Yeah.
He's got attention to detail.
Sure.
And it's gonna be great. But I just think a lot of courses are getting to the point where they're gonna have to renovate.
Yeah.
And
To keep up with the ones that are already doing it, right?
well, that they're just getting to the age
Yeah.
where they need to, and I'm hopeful that we're going to continue to see investment in that. And a lot of the old heirloom courses, Wes, are on the up and up.
Yeah.
Really, Azalea Sands comes to mind, Beechwood,
Yeah.
Eagle Nest,
Yeah.
the Elliott properties. Those used to be ones that maybe weren't thought of very highly.
Sure.
Even courses like that are coming on.
You love that. Yeah. You
I
love
do.
That.
I do.
Is there one golf course that's gone that you really miss?
Marsh Harbor.
Is it?
And I think if someone's going to build a new golf course or a
Right.
new golf course is going to come back, that is the ultimate spot.
So it's not like there's nothing on that
There's
land?
nothing there. There's nothing
It
there.
can't be built, like houses can't be built there? Or
I'm not going to say that houses can't be built there. They have not been built.
Gotcha. And how long has it been closed?
It's been closed since '05 when the original
wow.
lease ended. It was a 25-year lease that the
Wow.
Youngs had through the Williamson family. And
Tell me about the golf course. I don't remember it.
so it was built before Oyster Bay.
Okay.
It's a Dan Maples. I mean,
Is it in the north end?
it's in Calabash.
Okay. So it's North Carolina, right
yeah,
across.
it's Ocean Harbor was right there as
Yep.
well. That's closed. I mean, it was the golf course that changed everything in Myrtle Beach. Before Marsh Harbor, there was no premium packages.
Gotcha.
You came and stayed at Sands, or you stayed at the Caribbean, and you played any of the golf courses in Myrtle Beach, same price, one deal, boom.
Right.
Marsh Harbor, when it opened,
Yeah.
was the first golf course to charge a surcharge.
Okay.
Right, that you have to pay $25 extra to go play this.
Okay.
And that was the course that just started the Myrtle Beach revolution, right? That's all the other golf courses that were built after that were built in the image mostly of Marsh Harbor.
I'll have to look that up tonight.
Yeah, that's a little bit of Myrtle Beach golf history for you.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Was it a tough track?
Par 70, tough.
Okay.
Very cool. Great marsh front holes.
When was it built?
1980. Oh, wow. So it was kind of one of Dan Maples' first golf courses when he kind of emerged out of working for his father, Ellis Maples.
I love all of those Myrtle Beach pictures from like the 80s.
Yeah, me too.
I get
Me too.
down. I love looking. There's an Instagram page that I follow called Myrtle Beach back then.
Oh, I follow it.
Yeah. I love that stuff because
Right.
that's how I grew up. That's how
Yeah.
I remember coming to Myrtle Beach and seeing those things.
But Marsh Harbor really, it was a great piece of land. You had 16, 17, 18 were on the water, 8 and 9. Probably had 30 feet of elevation change.
Wow.
Oyster Bay came soon after that,
Yeah.
but that really is what changed everything. That's why the Youngs were so revolutionary here in Myrtle
Gotcha.
Beach, right? With the Legends. Look at the Legends, man.
Yeah.
The Legends was Bandon Dunes and Stream Song and Sand Valley before those were even an image in anybody's mind.
Right.
Right. Let's build a resort where you can stay and play.
Right.
And let's focus on good architecture and good golf courses.
The first time I ever played Legends golf courses, I was very young, maybe still in college, but I was on a golf trip. And I was fascinated while we didn't have to leave.
Yep.
We could do everything we wanted to there. I mean, we might have went out for dinner, but we didn't have to if we didn't want to.
And that's really the modern model now that people are going with.
Yeah. Like there was a condo that slept 4 or 8.
Yep.
And there was a jacuzzi, like, and a pool. And if we didn't want to leave, we didn't have to. It was amazing. Wow, that's cool. My favorite one that is gone now, and this is more about nostalgia for me than it is maybe golf course setup or whatever, is Indian Wells.
Okay.
And that's just because my grandfather who's passed away now, when we would come down here on vacation, he loved that golf course. And all of us would have to go play that golf course with him. So a lot of memories on that golf course for me. I'm not saying it was I actually played it the last day it was open, which was really cool. And, but yeah, not the greatest setup of all, but it's just like every time I go play, like, there was a piece of my grandfather there, and that's why I enjoyed that golf course. Which I think that's another cool thing about Myrtle Beach is, you know, kids grew up coming to Myrtle Beach, and you know they remember playing golf with their dad or granddad, and now they're doing that with their kids. And I think that's another thing that Myrtle Beach has that maybe other golf destinations don't. Because I can remember being a young father and a young husband, like, I could only afford to go to Myrtle Beach to play golf, like on vacation, because it was so affordable. So I think that's what's really cool about Myrtle Beach, and I do hate that a lot of the courses have closed, but I also understand it. But
We needed it to an extent.
yes, that's where I was getting.
Yeah,
at.
we did. I mean, I missed the Witch.
Yeah,
Dog.
I played it, like, it was in such good shape when it closed. Like, it was in such good shape when it you might know this. So, Wedgefield down in Georgetown, did they use their turf? Did they get some of the turf from the Witch and take it down there? That's kind of cool. Kind of lives on.
Yeah,
in a way.
You know, Wedgefield, one of the assistant superintendents that worked with me at Heritage took it over recently, so I'm excited about that.
It's kind of a fun layout.
It is. It's got some good holes on it.
Yeah. And that little bar they built down there,
Very
the little
cool.
tavern, really cool spot.
Yeah,
man.
Christian and the ownership group there is putting some good money into it. And Georgetown needs a golf course, man.
Yeah.
It just does. And, you know, we used to have two. We used to have the old Winyah Bay, which was an awesome golf course to play. And we used to go play there a lot in the spring when all the Pawleys Island golf courses were filled up.
Sure.
And that was a cool kind of sardine type course where it was 18 holes really where they had room for about 15, but they made it happen.
Nice.
And you could go out there and play. And I miss Farmstead. That's another one, I think,
that was
Wes,
a good
that
one.
hated to see that one go. But then there's a lot of other ones that probably needed to go, you know?
Waterway Hills. I liked it.
Yeah.
Just, again, nostalgia. Couldn't really tell you a whole bunch about the holes, but, you know, taking the gondola over and
That's
all
one of the
that
very
stuff.
few I've never played.
Really?
And obviously now I'm not going to.
Yeah, you're not going to. The sign's still up.
It is. It is. Never took the gondola ride,
Yeah.
but
What about Possum Trot?
played Possum Trot. I would play Possum Trot every year for a SOS autism tournament.
Always liked their logo. Thought it
Yeah.
was a cool logo.
That SOS autism tournament was one of the best, you know, charity scramble tournaments that I ever played in.
Yeah.
It's the first time I ever had where you had the rifle where you shot the golf ball. And,
Yeah.
And food stations on every other hole. They just
That's
did it
cool.
up right.
Right.
And yeah,
There was another one that I saw that I had never played and didn't even know it existed. It was like Smuggler's Run or something.
Robber's Roost.
Robber's Roost. That's
Right.
it. Yeah. Was it any good?
Never played it.
Never
You know,
played
that
it?
was kind of in that North Myrtle Beach corridor where you had Gator Hole,
Yep. I remember that one.
Robert's Roost. Angel's Trace was a 36-hole facility in
Really?
Brunswick County. That's gone.
Black Bear's gone.
Blackberry is gone. Yep, the former Myrtle West.
Is that what that was called?
Yep,
That's up near Longs, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of good ones, man.
You know what Aberdeen used to be called?
I don't.
Buck Creek.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. That's yeah. What was the pinnacle? 106 golf courses?
I think 111.5 was the highest, or maybe 120.5.
Something like that.
But
It's crazy.
You know, that north end and south end, where are you going to cut off?
Yeah.
You know, so it's retracted now to about 80. But
Yeah.
I think overall it's probably, we got overbuilt in the late
Sure,
90s, early
sure.
2000s. There's no doubt about that. And
We should have concentrated on infrastructure.
yep, we should have. We had no idea. You
No
know,
idea what was coming.
TPC was supposed to be 36 holes.
Was it really?
Yes. They were going to build private on the other 18.
Wow.
That's kind of where a lot of Prince Creek is now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do like TPC.
I do too.
I like it in March and April,
Yeah, well, it's
right after the DJ tournament.
it's a heavily overseeded golf course,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
And that's kind of their thing,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
That's when you want to play it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about overseed real quick. What's your opinion? I'll tell you mine first.
Okay.
I love an overseeded fairway. I don't need the rough to be overseeded. In fact, I kind of like how it maps it out,
You like the definition?
the definition.
Yep.
And I also don't need your greens to be overseeded. I don't care if they're dark or like look burnt out. If they're fast and true, I mean, that's fine for me. As a superintendent, and maybe you can't speak on this, but what do you like to do?
Have you ever known me not to speak my mind?
Well, listen, we even put an E beside this podcast just in case we say some things we shouldn't. But no,
my reputation preceded me. Huh?
Yes, correct. But no, like, how do you, as a superintendent, is there a preference you like to do, or does it depend on the course?
It depends on the course. I mean, I did not overseed Heritage for the majority of the time. That was a choice that I made. I felt like I could provide better conditions 12 months out of the year with not overseeding. There was a period here where several other courses didn't overseed. Caledonian True Blue went many years without overseeding as well. There's positives and negatives to both.
So when we host groups down here, there's that certain time in the season where overseed is fighting the natural,
Yes,
or whatever you want.
the Bermuda grass.
Explain that to the lake, because I know people ask me this all the time, and I really can't give them a good answer.
Well, there's
What-
two
what is
phases.
happening?
There's two
Okay.
phases, right? There's the establishment phase in the fall where you have to put the seed out and get the seed established. In the past there was a lot more restrictions of carts and excessive watering, but if you put thousands of dollars of seed out, your goal is to water it to get it to come up,
Sure.
right? And to make seed germinate, it takes a lot of water, and that
Right.
doesn't always lead to the best playing conditions in the fall, right?
Sure.
Some years are better than others. It's weather dependent. But then in the spring, when you're transitioning back, is more, I think, what you're alluding to.
Sure, yeah.
There is a transitional period,
Right.
Right, and if you look at the Southeast overall, right, even in the private world, there are some clubs that overseed, and very few, but the majority don't, right? I
Right.
think the feeling there is that you can provide better conditions year round without overseeding, as long as you're okay with playing on brown grass, right?
Sure.
But Bobby, who comes down here to play golf, he wants to see green grass, Wes,
Absolutely, yeah,
right? You
yeah.
you play with as many different types of people as anybody,
Right,
right? You
right,
know that,
yeah.
right? It's just a different mentality, I'm a purist.
Right.
Playability to me is everything.
Right.
I don't care what color it is.
Yeah.
Right. I don't play on a color. I play on a surface.
Sure.
Right. That's me.
Right.
That's not everybody that comes down here. A lot of people want to see green grass, and I get that. I lived in the Midwest.
Right.
I know what it's like to live in the Midwest or the Northeast in February. It's brutal,
yeah,
right? Coming
yeah.
down and seeing green grass is great, but
I do not. I'll have to take your word for it.
that's I don't know if you'd make it up there, brother.
Maybe, probably not.
But again, it goes back to what I said earlier about why Myrtle Beach is a great destination. We have options,
Sure.
right? We've gone back to golf courses that are overseeding wall to wall. We have just fairways and tees, and there are some that don't overseed, right? Heritage still doesn't overseed.
Okay.
My successor, Sean Keller, who took over for me, who was at Indian Wells for many, many years, has continued to not overseed there. The way I like to explain it is whether you don't overseed or do, you're going to have a bottom
Yeah.
where your conditions are not going to be ideal.
Sure.
Right? Like I said, if you overseed, you're going to have maybe a little bit of transition time in October, November, and then in June and July, right? If you don't overseed, you may not be your best at March, right? Which obviously March is a huge month for people to come down here and play,
Yep.
right? In my opinion, Wes, living here for 25 years, March is one of the worst weather months we have.
You know what sneaky good golf is around here?
December.
December.
It is.
Late November.
It is. Yeah.
Really good.
Very good.
I tell people, like, book a trip in December. Save you some money.
I mean, if you want an insider tip, that's it right
Yeah.
there. Because even if the course is overseeded, they've watered it, they've gotten it up, it's very thin. You're playing on Bermuda.
Sure.
It's just
Yeah.
there providing a little color,
Right.
But
Right.
you and I have had this conversation, right? Where it's those are great months, but they're also not big travel months because of the holidays.
Sure. Yep.
We got to have a few months to ourselves, Wes, right?
Absolutely. Gives the locals some love. All right, we're wrapping up.
That's
Go ahead.
changed tremendously in Myrtle Beach.
There's not much of a season anymore, is there?
Well, the locals.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, when you look at Myrtle Beach golf,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that's changed.
Yeah.
There are thousands of people that used to come down here on golf vacations
They
that
just
live here now. And as a golf course operator,
Yeah.
you have to cater to locals now.
Yeah.
When I started at Caledonia, we didn't care about local. We didn't care about summer play. We didn't care about winter play. It was spring and fall. That's all we
Right.
cared about.
Right.
That's changed.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
For sure.
Yep.
And it's still tough. Like, I play in a group on Fridays that, there can be 30 of us. It's tough to find tee times for 30 dudes.
It is.
Real tough. But I just chalk it up as like, I'm glad. Like,
Yeah.
it would suck if it was really easy to find that because that means that we weren't doing very well.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. Winding down here, okay? Coming in the last stretch, last 3 holes here. What does the term salty golfer mean to you as we try to build this brand?
The Salty Golfer brand first caught my eye as someone who was doing something different. That's what really attracted me to the Salty Golfer.
Cool.
And here's somebody who is thinking outside the box.
All right.
Someone who isn't scared to break the mold a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I loved,
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
was using social media at a time when people in Myrtle Beach, entities in Myrtle Beach, really weren't focusing on that.
Right.
But you could see a movement around golf where it was important.
Yeah.
And here's somebody local that is doing something about it.
Yeah.
And that's really, I'm a big Instagram guy, as
Yeah.
you know. I wouldn't be here necessarily talking to you today, Wes, if it wasn't for
Sure.
Instagram. I believe in the power of social media.
Yeah.
And that was my initial attraction to you is,
Great.
here's a guy that's using this medium to promote golf, Myrtle Beach golf, and
Yeah.
just a cool lifestyle.
Yeah.
The music aspect, when I think of the Salty Golfer, I think of a cat that likes good music,
Yeah.
you
We share that same
We do.
passion for music.
know,
Yeah.
Sandy Pars and Tiki Bars.
That's right, baby. That's what it's all about.
Some of the original taglines, some will, I mentioned that one, some will just leave
Yeah.
to die.
We've learned our lessons.
We have.
Yeah.
But that's really what it was.
Yeah,
And just the fact that you
You're
were
like
out there.
you're like one of the original members
Yeah.
of the squad, man.
I feel that way,
Yeah.
and I think, I reached out to you early on and, I don't know how it even started. We played golf together.
We golfed together, and you just said, "Hey, man, anything I can do to help out, come use my course, whatever you need to do." And
Yeah.
and it was great.
Yeah, and that was at a
perfect.
period in my life when I was engaging a lot of other
Sure.
social media type people that were building in golf. The
Yeah.
Fried Egg.
Yeah. Great pod, by the way.
Yeah, and No Laying Up and some of these other ones that
What they've done.
yeah.
The No Laying Up guys. I enjoy all of their content. All right, Salty 7.
Okay.
All right, as we finish up today, These are just quick fire. You answer it, all right?
Bring it.
Electric or acoustic guitar?
Electric.
Okay. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Okay.
And in beer.
And yes, very, very good. Good plug there. Salty Golf or Pineapple Blonde. Favorite golf accessory in the bag?
Tees.
Tees. Are you a tee collector?
Not a collector, but anytime I play a good private club, I take a handful.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, for sure. All right. Hardest golf hole on the Grand Strand, in your opinion?
Wachasaw Plantation, 18th hole.
Oh, yeah. Good one. Yeah, real good.
You got to hit 3 good shots on that hole.
Best Mike Strantz hole?
So Mike Strantz is similar to Seth Rayner and Charles Blair McDonald, and he used templates, right? He would do the same template hole over and over again.
Yeah.
So one of my
Every third hole's a par 3.
a lot of times, but
Yeah.
some of my favorite Strantz templates are the button hook par 5, which would be like 4 at True Blue,
Yeah.
or 11 or 4 at Tobacco Road,
Yeah.
Royal New Kent number 2. You know where you it's literally like a button hook around,
Yeah.
right? I love Strantz's odes to all the classic architects too.
Yeah.
He was very. If you look at a lot of his golf holes and study classic golf course architecture, you
Yeah.
can see the correlation there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Favorite 311 song?
Grassroots
Oh, baby. It's a good one. That whole album.
is killer.
Phenomenal.
30th anniversary right
Yeah,
now.
I know,
Yep.
man. Crazy. We're that old, dude.
Yeah. And I actually saw 311 for the first time in 1994.
I saw them the first time in 1998,
Yep.
and I've seen them probably 15, 20 times.
You know, and growing up or living in Ames, Iowa at the time, you know, Omaha, Nebraska was
Yeah.
only a couple hours away. So they were almost like a pseudo local band. I was introduced to them just from guys that I hung out with
Sure.
that knew them from Omaha.
Yeah.
But amazing longevity with them.
Yeah. The first time I saw them open up for Rage Against the Machine,
Yep.
and they stole the show,
Yeah.
and I was a fan, hooked ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest Iowa State athlete?
Recency bias, got to go Brock Purdy, man.
Okay. Yeah. I figured that might be where you're going.
Yep.
Well, that's Salty 7, dude. And Jim, you're a dear friend, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. And I'm sure we'll do it again. And we got to go play some golf. We haven't played golf in a while together.
It has been a while, and it's an honor to be on with you, bud.
Thanks, man.
Like I said, I do feel like I've kind of been around since the ground floor.
OG, baby. OG.
And you and I have had a lot of great conversations over the years.
Yeah.
I love calling you up and just getting the salty perspective on
Yeah.
things. And
Well, that's just we don't bullshit each other.
No.
So it's just, you
No.
know, there's no, it is what it is with us, right? And
Yeah.
That's what I look for in friendship. Like, if there's something you don't agree with, you don't mind telling me, and vice versa. So it's just,
and that's what it's all about.
It's
and
all love for sure.
I just love what you're doing still to this day, promoting Myrtle Beach golf.
Thanks, man.
You know, you're an innovator.
We consider ourselves the unofficial ambassador for Myrtle Beach golf.
We don't need anything to be official around here.
No,
you know.
absolutely not.
But proud of your journey, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Go get them.
Yeah, man. Thanks
right.
for being on.
Yes, sir.